of you are neighbors.
We are.
You filed harassment charges.
He actually screamed outside of my unit, "I hate you." Him constantly talking into my camera or making gestures at the camera.
That's not true.
Spitting, flicking me off.
Who is that?
Imagine living next door to someone who calls the police 6 times, monitors who visits your house, and then claims they're the one being harassed. Well, that's exactly what happened in this courtroom showdown. And trust me, this neighbor is something else. Let's get into it.
Sauerbach is suing his neighbor, Rachel Capron, for lost wages, false charges, attorney fees, and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
How are you?
Good. Case 3082, Auerbach Wu versus Caprion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Auerbach, how long have you lived in your current residence?
I've lived there since 2006, Your Honor.
Do you own it or rent?
I own it.
Would you describe the kind of units it is?
They're condominium units. There's 8 per building.
How many floors?
Pardon?
How many
2
floors?
floors. Yeah, 4 on each.
And the two of you are neighbors?
We are.
You live on the same floor?
She lives in a separate building, but we're both on the 2nd floor.
Can you see her apartment from your apartment?
No, I can only see her door when I leave my apartment. I can't see her at all.
How far apart are the buildings?
17 feet.
When did you purchase your condominium?
July of 2019.
So you would live there more than a decade before the defendant moved in?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Ever had any difficulty before?
Never.
Okay. It is your claim, Mr. Auerbach, that the defendant, since she moved in, has embarked upon a course of conduct that can only be described, if this is true, serious harassment that has forced you to retain lawyers, that has potentially impacted on your business. You are, I see, a registered pharmacist.
That is correct, Your Honor.
So I'd like you to tell me, sir, when the problem first started with the defendant.
Well, to my knowledge, it started for me May 26, 2022, when a police officer showed up at my house.
Just a second. So the defendant had already been there for 4 years.
Correct.
So people showed up at your door. Who was that?
Officer showed up and was asking me some bizarre questions, strange questions. Are you walking around in the evening? Asked me what my job was, which I thought was strange because I've lived in Fairlawn since 2006. I file a tax return, so he should know that I'm a pharmacist.
Did anything come of that visit?
Well, he said there were some complaints.
You can't tell me what he said,
Yeah.
because that's hearsay.
Yeah.
But did anything come from that visit?
Just that there was a complaint from the neighborhood. He didn't say neighbors, neighbor. And so I started asking my neighbors if there was a problem. And that's when I discovered that the defendant was...
Again, don't tell me hearsay. Ultimately, you and the defendant, it became an overt hostility. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
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 And since Mr. Auerbach doesn't know the genesis of your problem with him, why don't you tell me, when did you start to have, according to you, a problem with him?
Your Honor, I moved in July of 2019. Between July of 2019 and late 2021, I had noticed behavior. Marijuana was not legal in the state of Ohio. It is now legalized. But he was using marijuana outside on a very, very regular basis. Our condo units are very close in proximity. So he would be smoking outside and they'd be coming into my windows. As a matter of fact, I remember coming home from work one day and my entire unit smelled like marijuana. Not illegal, but like it's a nuisance for me.
In what year was that?
That was through the duration of 2021.
Just a second. That started in 2021.
That's correct.
Okay. But you moved in 2019. So in 2019, you didn't have a problem. In 2020, you didn't have a problem.
I had seen him using during those times. But
well, right now, marijuana use is legal. It's not illegal. Not illegal. And according to you, you could only see him outside.
Right in front of my windows.
It was in front of your windows, which, according to you, impacted inside your apartment. On occasion, you smelled it inside your apartment. So what did you do?
So late 2021, I had acquired these issues with Mr. Auerbach.
Now, what issues did you acquire with him? So far, you smelled marijuana. What did you do as a result of seeing Mr. Auerbach smoke marijuana or smell it in your apartment when you came home? What did you do?
Late 2021, I overheard Mr. Auerbach and his former girlfriend arguing very extremely. They had actually left their door wide open, and I heard this woman screaming. And knowing that he had been
Screaming, just a second. Screaming what?
just fighting.
She wasn't screaming, ah! She was screaming at him.
That's correct.
He was screaming at her.
That's correct.
Okay, you didn't hear her screaming. You heard two people having a fight.
I heard her say,
You heard two people having a fight.
yes.
So what did you do?
I called the police.
Okay. Do you recall what it is that you said to the police?
I told the police that there was a disturbing fight happening in front of my unit, and it seemed to be violent, and I was just worried for that girl. And I remember what she was saying, but I don't know if that's appropriate to say here.
To me, she already sounds like that neighbor, the one everyone sees coming and suddenly remembers they have somewhere else to be. You know the type. Always watching, always complaining, always in somebody else's business. Now, don't get me wrong. If your neighbor's marijuana smoke is drifting into your home, that's a valid complaint. Not everyone wants their house smelling like they've accidentally walked into a dispensary. I'd be annoyed too. But here's the thing. One valid complaint doesn't automatically make you the hero of the story. Sometimes people have a legitimate issue, but the way they handle it turns them into the problem. So before we crown anyone the victim or the villain, let's keep watching and see what actually happened. Because in neighbor disputes, there's almost always more to the story than what we're hearing at the beginning.
Liz Auerbach claims his neighbor, Rachel Capron, owes for lost wages and attorney fees after making false accusations. Rachel is countersuing Douglas for harassment and emotional distress.
Now, I'd like to know what she was saying. I'm not accepting it for the truth of whether or not she actually said it, but I'd like to hear what you tell me you heard or what you tell me you relayed to the police.
Sure. She had said that he was a predator, was her word, and that he had created a fake Facebook profile to hit on her friend, is the words that I heard from his former girlfriend.
So it was a domestic fight. So that's not screaming. According to you, that's factual. She wasn't screaming, get off me, you're hurting me. They were having a fight about a Facebook page she created that she didn't like. So now you interjected yourself by calling the police, and you were frightened for the girl. So far, she sounds as if she can protect herself, based upon what you tell me. So you called the police. And do you remember when that was?
That was October of 2021.
That's not true.
Say nothing. When did the problem start that you refer to in your answer about the parking spaces in front of your condo?
Yes. So on February 6th of 2022, again, I called the police because of Mr. Auerbach's behavior.
No. You called the police because you heard, saw what?
This was when foreign guests were coming into and out of his home multiple hours throughout the day and the night. I had known that he was a pharmacist just through the talk of the neighborhood. But
well, it's not the talk of the neighborhood unless you're talking or listening. You saw foreign people coming in and out of his apartment, so you called the police.
That's correct.
That was the second call that you made?
That's correct.
Okay. I want you to get to the parking spaces.
Sure.
You don't have assigned spaces in the front of the building, correct?
That's correct.
But in front of your building, there are certain spaces. In front of his building, there are certain spaces, but they're not assigned.
Yes.
According to what I read, he was parking in front of your building.
Once the issues between Mr. Auerbach and myself came up, he started parking all of his vehicles immediately in front of my unit so that when I come home from work, I have nowhere to park. I can choose to park in my garage,
Just a second.
but I have no spaces.
When you say the issues arose, he wasn't having any issues with you. At that time, you were having issues with him.
That's correct.
You were having issues with him with smoking marijuana. You were having issues with him with having foreign visitors that you didn't recognize or know. So far, he didn't have any issues with you. Did the police respond on both instances, do you know?
When I called the police in late October of 2021, I know they came out to just do a basic well check. On February 6, 2022, when I called the police for him acting odd and having the foreign people coming in and out of his unit, he actually screamed at my window, "Clean up your dog, I hate you." And at that moment, it was very early in the
Just a second. That was after your second call to the police. What happened next?
I purchased a Ring doorbell camera.
So you bought a Ring camera, and
I bought the Ring camera, and from that day, I have now to this day hundreds of videos of him harassing me.
and other than these 2 calls to the police, did you make any other calls to the police about him?
Yes.
How many?
There were 6 total over the last 2+ years, 6 total reports.
Did you ever ask him to park his cars in front of his own building?
No, because at this
Did you ask anyone else, like the condo association, anyone else, to ask him to park his cars in front of his own building?
I had brought that to the HOA attention.
When you say you brought it to the HOA, you went to the homeowners association.
I did.
And when you went to the homeowners association, in what month and year was that?
Approximately March of 2022.
Did you go to them in person or by mail?
By email.
I'd like to see it.
Unfortunately, I don't have that email.
Do you remember the complaint that you made when you sent an email to the homeowners association?
I do.
Well, in your best terms, what did you complain about?
I just said, I understand that there are no assigned parking spots, but he's got 6, 8 spots in front of his. I have 4. And ever since we've started to have problems with one another, he started parking 1, 2, or 3 of his vehicles in front of mine.
Not true.
Was that the only complaint that you made? Was that all that you said in the email to them?
Yes, it was strictly parking.
Did they respond to you?
They did.
And what was the response?
Parking is not assigned.
Parking is not assigned. Right. Now, there came a point where you filed harassment charges against him, and there was a trial.
That's not true. There was no trial.
You filed harassment charges again. Were you arrested, sir?
No, I was cited, though. I
Okay.
stopped at my house.
And did you both appear at some sort of a hearing with regard to that?
Yes.
When was that?
I filed the protection order on June 29th, 2022.
And you served him. Do you have a copy of that complaint?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay. So this says, after reporting he has harassed and verbally via telecommunications and has physically stalked me. After reporting his drug use to the police, comments of "go kill yourself," some very bad language, have been made through my security camera. He also flips me off while shouting, again, expletive, into my camera. He watches me from his window when I walk outside.
It's not true.
Now, when you appeared together, what place did you go to? A courthouse?
Yes.
And did you appear before a judge?
Yes.
What month did you appear before a judge in 2022?
I have noted that October 7th of 2022, the charges that he had received were in fact dropped. But when...
Just a second. I'm not there yet.
All right, I've heard enough. I think she's the problem. What do you mean you've called the police 6 times? At some point, you have to ask yourself whether you're reporting actual problems or just auditioning for Neighborhood Watch Captain of the Year. And then she says she has an issue with foreign people coming in and out of his house. Excuse me? Since when is it your job to monitor your neighbor's guest list? Unless they're breaking the law or causing a disturbance, who someone invites into their home is absolutely none of your business. I cannot stand neighbors who spend more time policing everyone else's lives than living their own. Close the blinds, water your plants, watch your favorite show, and let people exist in peace. Not every little thing requires a phone call to the police or a running commentary from the window. Sometimes the best thing a neighbor can do is mind their own business.
Douglas Auerbach has accused his neighbor, Rachel Capron, of harassing him and making false accusations. Rachel says Douglas has been excessively harassing her through her Ring camera.
You went together with him to a courthouse. What happened when you went with him to the courthouse?
So the first time we went to the courthouse, we had gone on 2 different occasions. The first time we met with a judge, and I was given the opportunity to testify. I went up on the stand, and I gave her a summary of what he's been doing to me. During this testimony, the judge actually pulled the counsel into the back room. And when she came out, she said, "Mr. Auerbach, I see what you're doing." She said, "I see you looking at her."
I want to know what happened with that case. You testified. You had a lawyer. He had a lawyer.
I didn't have a lawyer at that time.
You said you had a public defender.
Right, a public defender. I hadn't hired.
Just a second. A public defender is a lawyer.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Just because you're not paying for it doesn't mean he or she is not a lawyer. You had a lawyer.
Yes.
And after you testified, what happened?
The hearing was continued.
To another day.
That's correct.
And what happened on the next date, which was when?
The next date was October 7th of 2022.
Okay, and what happened on that date?
So my public defender was there. We just waited, and she came over to me and said that the case was dismissed. I never saw anybody or talked to
just
anybody.
a second. You came back the next time, and your case was dismissed.
Yes.
So do you have a decision with regard to that? Do you have a decision with regard to that? I'm just curious as to what happened.
Well, there was actually 7 court dates that I attended. Those first few were arraignments.
Does anybody have any written document with regard to what happened at that hearing?
I have the court details right here
the decision.
with the dismissed.
Well, all it says is dismissed. I don't know.
Well, it's the whole court detail.
Just a second.
It'll illuminate on all the court dates that she's forgotten about.
Mr. Auerbach. Oh, yeah, there were a lot of court dates.
There were a lot.
Shh. You don't have to agree with me, sir. That's a statement. So there is nothing but a dismissal. And it was a dismissal after you testified. After you testified, the case was ultimately dismissed. I'm not entertaining your case because your case has already been adjudicated. It was dismissed, so I'm not hearing that. It's not that it was dismissed on some technicality. You, in fact, testified. Your case against him has already had its day in court. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's get back to false charges, lost wages. Now, Mr. Auerbach, false charges. He has harassed me via telecommunications. Okay, so that's what you say. I want you to tell me exactly what telecommunications you've referenced.
So I have a video that I would like to show on the big screen. If you would...
Just a second. Is that the telecommunications that you're talking about?
Yes. So on the Ring camera, him constantly talking into my camera or making gestures at the camera of my home.
And that was after you called the police several times on the defendant, who was never arrested as a result of any of those complaints. No charges ever filed against him. And then you put a Ring camera in because he said something about cleaning up after your dog. That frightened you. I must admit, I am less than ladylike. I think when I see somebody who's failing to pick up after their dog, as far as I'm concerned, it should be a felony, punishable by 15 to life.
I've never not picked up. I have a little Shih Tzu, and
I'm just telling you.
Lots of Shih Tzu.
I always pick up.
So now I'd like to see, after you put a Ring camera in, because after you started to have trouble with him, according to you,
yes,
for doing nothing that was illegal, but for which you called the police several times, now I'll see your video.
Standing on my doorstep.
Shh, 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 shh.
flicking me off, spitting, flicking me off.
That stupid dumb.
This is every day.
What? Oh, thankful, grateful, blessed. Yeah, we'll see about that. You're gonna be paying me. Get shot.
Get shot.
You talked to my daughter.
When he attacked my dad.
I never talked to her before. Talk to me. Get me.
Talk to me.
No.
No, man to man. Man to man.
You want to tell me to go kill myself in my camera? Call me back every day.
Just a second. Who are those people?
So the rainbow hoodie is myself. The person with the flannel was my dad, who
Okay, so that was your father.
seconds prior
That was just a
attacked
second.
outside in the parking lot.
I don't know about that or not. I asked who it was. Sure. I didn't see any attack. I saw that you're not getting along. Okay, keep going.
Every day, dude. Why don't you leave me alone? I'm 25 years younger than you.
Anything else?
It's the end of the video.
Thank you.
That's
Has
8 of
physically
100.
stalked me.
Yes.
I want to know how he has physically stalked you. Is that what I just saw? Or you're talking about follows you to your job, follows you to... Let me hear.
Sure.
Never.
So I have a little Shih Tzu that I walk around my neighborhood, and when I'm walking her, he has gotten into his Camaro, came up right next to us, puts it in neutral, and rums his engine at me as I'm walking my dog, me minding my business, looking straight. I don't say anything back. I just keep going till I get home to my house
How many
safely.
times? Yeah. How many times had you called the police on him? Because you see, you hadn't had any trouble with him, which is what I'm having a problem wrapping my head around.
I'm sorry, but she's giving Karen energy from every angle. You are not going to convince me otherwise. Imagine having this woman living next door. I'd be checking out the window every morning to see if her car was gone before I dared to enjoy my own backyard. She seems like the kind of neighbor who has a complaint locked and loaded before you've even finished taking your bins out. Instead of focusing on her own life, she's keeping tabs on everyone else's. That sounds exhausting, not just for her, but for everyone who has to live around her. At some point, you have to let people live. Unless your neighbor is actually harming you or breaking the law, you don't need to monitor who visits their house, what they're doing every hour of the day, or treat the police like your personal customer service hotline. Calling the police 6 times over neighborhood drama is excessive.
Okay. When was your call to the police that he was smoking marijuana?
The first one was May 23rd of 22 is when they're noted in the police report, and I have a copy of that.
And then he cursed you. That's clear. That's in here. Have been made through my security camera. He watches me from his windows when I walk outside.
Mm-hmm.
And me. I see your mother shaking her head, yes.
Regarding the stalking, I hadn't seen my parents in a while, and they came over to go out to dinner together, and they showed up. I walked outside of my unit to get into my dad's car, and Mr. Auerbach came out and said to my dad, and that's when that last video that you saw was him saying, "Leave my daughter alone."
But the truth is, from his perspective, madam, you had been harassing him. Do you understand that? He had had no trouble living in his apartment from 2006. You move in and you don't like the fact that he's doing something that is not illegal.
It wasn't
but is
illegal at the
smelling
time.
up your house. Well, the first time you called was in May of 2022. When did marijuana become legal in your state?
I believe it was November 8th of 23.
It was November 7th, 2023.
Medical became years before that. I have a medical card.
Well, everybody can get a medical card, but that means, but
doesn't
it means you
matter. I'm
have, but it
following the
means you
rules.
have one. Do you have,
Absolutely.
Did you ever show anyone your medical marijuana card?
No.
Would you like to show it to me?
Sure.
I'd like to see it.
Is it dated?
Yeah, he has a Ohio medical marijuana registry, and it was issued October 2nd, 2021. Would you like to see it?
Thank you.
Just for my information, Mr. Rabak, the defendant has already told me why she called the police the first time, which is about this fight that you had with your then girlfriend. How long had you been with this girlfriend?
3 or 4 years.
Did she live with you?
She did.
Had the police ever been called prior to the defendant moving in?
Never.
And I have to tell you, I'm not necessarily faulting you if you were legitimately concerned over the safety of someone. But it turned out that it was a fight and an overreaction. She was accusing him of doing certain things in a very loud way, and he was fighting with her. And so I'm not going to fault you for being proactive, but you have to understand from his perspective, you were a Badinsky. When you call the police and say, there's a woman and I'm fearful that something is happening to her, and it was a domestic dispute, a shouting match, you can understand from his perspective that was a bit of an overkill.
Right. It was just extremely loud, and the door was left wide open. I could hear the entire argument from my unit. And it went on for a long time.
What you may do is, if you're calling, you can report something as being loud, like playing loud music. They're screaming and we're hearing them. And it looks to me as if there are lots of units there. As far as you know, no one else called the police about this argument, just you. So you can understand from his perspective that that's a form of harassment. And you can understand that from his perspective, since he has a legal marijuana card that was issued a year before, and I'm not going to ask him why, because, you know, you can say you have an ingrown toenail and get a medical marijuana card. But he was not doing anything illegal. And then you say that there were people coming in and out of his unit. Do you have any video of that?
I do not.
No.
That was before I got the Ring camera, before the harassment.
What do you mean? So your concern was, and your reporting was, these are foreigners coming into his apartment, and the connotation was that he was a drug dealer.
I saw one.
That was the connotation, right?
Yes.
Yes.
She keeps saying she's being harassed. Ma'am, are we watching the same case? Because from where I'm sitting, you're the one doing all the harassing. You don't get to call the police 6 times, keep tabs on your neighbor's every move, complain about who's visiting their house, and then clutch your pearls when they finally get fed up with you. I'm sorry, but people like this wear me out. They're allergic to minding their own business. If there isn't any drama, they'll create it just so they have something to complain about. At this point, she's treating her front window like it's a full-time job and her phone like it has a direct line to the police. And can we stop throwing around the word harassment every time someone pushes back? If you're constantly poking the bear, don't act surprised when the bear eventually growls. Being everyone's self-appointed neighborhood supervisor isn't a personality trait. It's exhausting. Seriously, close the curtains, make yourself a cup of tea, find a hobby, and let your neighbors live their lives. Not everything happening on your street requires your investigation. Sometimes the real disturbance in the neighborhood is the person who just can't stay out of everyone else's business.
Bliss Auerbach is suing his neighbor, Rachel Capron, for lost wages, false charges, attorney fees, and harassment. Rachel is countersuing, claiming Douglas harassed her, causing emotional distress.
And so what you're telling me, as soon as you got the Ring camera, the people stopped coming? He went out of business?
I didn't see people coming anymore. He hated the camera. And the one person that I saw show up at his house was knocking on his door. His old girlfriend had answered the door, and he was doing this like nodding out motion. And I was scared. I live, like you said, our doors are less than 20 feet apart from one another. And there's this guy outside his front door that is clearly impaired from something.
Well,
and needing him.
Mind your business.
Shh.
Mind you. If I have to go outside and let my dog outside, I should be able to do that without running into these foreign people that are coming to his home, or running into him, cussing me out, calling me every name under the sun. And
Madam, you have
my
to
door.
understand, I'm going to tell you, and your mother is nodding and agreeing with you, he did not precipitate this hostility. I know that you feel as if he did, but he didn't. He was having a fight with his girlfriend. You called the police. According to you, he had people coming to his house. You have no proof of that, but they were foreign people. They made you uncomfortable. You called the police. After you called the police at least those 2 times, you wrote to the HOA asking for them to intercede on your behalf to tell him to move his cars out of the front of your building. You felt uncomfortable enough because evidently he's going to tell me that somebody from The pharmacy board came to his house as a result of complaints that you filed, and it could have cost him his license. It ultimately did not, but it could have. And you're telling me that after all of that, you think he should be a pleasant neighbor?
Your Honor,
what is that?
Does she have to live like this?
No, she should probably move closer to you. She should probably move closer to you. He's been living there well over a decade. He had no trouble. And he wasn't doing anything illegal, and he wasn't doing anything that necessitated police intervention, both of which your daughter sought. Do you understand? She didn't know he had a medical marijuana card. And I never fault people if they have a legitimate fear that somebody, man or woman, is being threatened. But what she heard was an argument.
I heard an argument, and I was fearful of what was happening.
Well, that's not his problem. That's your problem that you're fearful. What you actually told me that you heard was this woman with whom he had lived shouting at him that he was a predator and that he made up a false Facebook page. This is his domestic partner, that she evidently found out, according to the argument that you relayed, that he was doing something sub rosa that was sketchy. She didn't say, don't put the knife in my face, don't point the gun at me, stop chasing me. They were having a fight. So you have to understand, from his perspective, you started it, and he reacted by being crude. But despite the fact that your mother thinks you're in the right, you started harassing him for no legal reason. That's from his perspective. You had no legal reason to call the police on him the first 2 times, and I don't know how many times you called the police after that. So I think you're absolutely right. I think you should not have to be in a place where you feel uncomfortable walking out with your dog. He's not moving. He's lived there. And if you find his conduct reprehensible, as your mother does, and as actually I find being cursed at, through whether it's through a Ring camera or in person, I find that distasteful. It's not going to get any better. So you're a young woman. If you're truly unhappy, sell your apartment and move.
I shouldn't have to move because of...
Well, he's not going to have to move.
But why can't he leave me alone is my question.
Just a second. He should leave you alone, and you should leave him alone.
I agree.
But you started it.
I started
Do
it
you
because
understand?
I was scared. I live by myself, Your Honor.
No. The first time you called the police, you weren't scared. Well, you weren't scared that you smelled marijuana in your apartment, that the windows were open. You came home from work and your apartment smelled for marijuana. You weren't mad. You were annoyed. That started it. You didn't have any trouble with him before. And then the foreign people who were coming to his door, that's a serious allegation. Serious. So, do I think he behaved like a gentleman? No. Do I think that you overreacted to situations that caused him to have to hire a lawyer? The answer is absolutely yes. And since it's not going to get better, since those things are in stone already, he's already been involved with the police, he's already been involved with the courts, he's already been involved with the board that governs his livelihood because of allegations that you made, and that's not going to go away. Because if he's accused and the underlying allegation with people, as you said, coming to his door and somebody bowing to him, which is the motion that you made, a bowing motion, and if the police contacted or somebody else contacted the governing board that governs his license, that all was precipitated because of you. And I'm not condoning the foul language, the talking into your Ring camera, all of that. But this bad blood exists. It's not going to go away. So why should you have to? You shouldn't have to. Why should he? Because it's not going to stop.
I've looked at moving recently.
Well, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Meanwhile, I don't find any of the allegations that you described for the first 2 reasons to take him to court had any validity. How much did the lawyer cost you?
$3,000, Your Honor.
I saw that in here, his bill for $3,000. I have to tell you, Mr. Raubach, I haven't really addressed you yet. And you can hear that I have a certain amount of sympathy for your position because the 2 things that she alleged that you did to cause her to call the police on 2 occasions before she filed a complaint against you, there was nothing illegal about your behavior.
Correct.
That's according to her. There was nothing illegal about your behavior. So I don't think that you should have to pay a lawyer. I think she should have to pay your lawyer. But I think that what I saw on the camera was a crude reaction. Crude.
And it's every day.
It was
Every day.
It was precipitated by you.
Defendant Rachel Capron claims the plaintiff, Douglas Auerbach, has been harassing her for years. Douglas says he's lost thousands of dollars to defend himself from Rachel's false accusations.
Now, it was precipitated by your actions. I'm telling him it's a crude reaction, all of which was precipitated by you for him doing nothing that was illegal or required police intervention. If somebody called the police on me and I wasn't doing anything wrong, and as a result of that, I had to hire a lawyer to defend me, I would be royally annoyed. I wouldn't use that kind of language. I would probably do something more vengeful, but I would do it so that it couldn't be traced back to me. But you and your mother both have to understand, while his reaction was certainly ungentlemanly, crude, and probably continues to be, it was precipitated by your actions.
I have videos of him spitting on my door, hundreds of him spitting on my door. So when
That's
I
a
go
lie.
to walk, it's not a lie. I have it all on
Just a
video
second.
right now.
Stop.
I can't tell you that I approve of his crude conduct. I don't. But the first two allegations that you made against him that required him to go to court, it looks like, on at least 7 or 8 occasions, and hire a lawyer.
I have a paper lawyer too.
I don't care. You started it. He had to go to court to defend himself against something that was not illegal. What do you want?
Can I just ask one question, Judge?
Sure. You have
Can
to
you-
stand up and ask me a question.
My daughter has been changed for 2 years due to the harassment.
Do you understand what
I
I'm saying?
understand what you're
so
saying.
what's your question? Don't make a statement. What's your question?
Does she have to continue to be treated this way and continue to be prescribed anti-anxiety medication due to the severe harassment that this man causes her every single day?
I think she should move close to you.
Does he have to continue? Can you just tell him to stop?
Just, I can tell him to stop. It's not going to mean anything to him if I tell him to stop. And your daughter has had a hearing. Maybe she has to go back. If she has proof that she wants a protective order, that he's doing something illegal, let her refile, or let her do the smart thing, let her sell her apartment and move. That's what I would advise one of my children. He's not going to move, and as long as they live right opposite each other, there's going to be acrimony. I wouldn't live like that. I really wouldn't live like that, nor would I encourage one of my children to live like that. He's been living there since 2008 or 6. He's not moving. And what precipitated this whole hostility, he probably has a short fuse. He probably is relentless in getting even.
Yes.
You have to acknowledge that your daughter started the trouble.
I understand, but isn't
No,
there a
not
point-
do you understand. Do you understand and agree with it?
I agree, but can't it stop after 2 years?
Well, once the Hatfield and McCoys started to fight, they continued to fight until a lot of people were dead. And it seems to me life has enough challenges so that if you can extricate yourself from a major stressor, you do that. Okay, we're finished. Mr. Auerbach, I don't think that you should have had to pay for a lawyer for the first instance that brought you to court. Based upon what she tells me, you were engaged in no illegal conduct at the time she brought you to court, so she's going to pay for your lawyer. I don't have to entertain your counterclaim because that counterclaim is based on the same allegations that were already heard by another court, and the case was dismissed. If you have fresh allegations and want to continue this lunacy, and you have further proof, file for another protective order. Maybe this one will be granted. And I wouldn't live in a situation where I felt uncomfortable. I mean, he's a man, you're a woman, you're younger, you're about the same size. So it's not a David and Goliath situation. But one of you is going to move, and clearly he's not. He's been living there almost 20 years, right? Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. We're finished. Thank you.
Well, the judge has spoken, and she didn't just lose. She ended up having to pay her neighbor's lawyer fees. Honestly, I'm not surprised. If you're going to drag someone into court, you'd better have more than suspicions, complaints, and a habit of spying through the curtains. This case is a perfect reminder that just because you don't like your neighbor doesn't mean you have a lawsuit. Calling the police over and over, worrying about who comes in and out of someone else's home, and then claiming you're the one being harassed is not a winning strategy. Sometimes the person causing all the chaos is the one shouting the loudest about being the victim. Hopefully, this is an expensive lesson in minding your own business. Not every disagreement needs to become a neighborhood crusade. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stay in your own lane, enjoy your own home, and stop acting like the unofficial mayor of the street. If you enjoyed this courtroom breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more real courtroom drama with real commentary, and let me know in the comments, would you survive having this woman as your neighbor, or would you be looking for a for sale sign by the end of the week? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.